So, in the book of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, it is evident that one of the key passages of this book is during page 106 to 107 when George and Lenny were both chanting about the possibility of their farm just before George shoots Lenny in the head. One can see, with too much innocence, one cannot live long in a cruel world. This is shown through the diction use and also the contrast in between the character Lenny and George through this passage. This passage that I chose, page 106 to 7, is the following action of the. So through the use of diction, we can see that many positive words that with positive connotation are more so related to Lenny. For example, at the beginning of the passage, it read, "Lenny giggled with happiness." This is one sentence that shows that Lenny is a very happy person, and he's a person who has a joy, who has a large capacity for joy. As well, there was many hopeful sentences during the passage. For example, me and you and me. Everybody gonna be nice to you. So this also shows that he is also a very innocent yet oblivious person, because he at first he believes that George and him will always be together and always do everything together. As well, when he says everybody is going to be nice to you, that is pretty impossible in this world. Not everyone's going to like you. However, Lenny believes in such concepts, therefore showing his innocence and as well as his ability to believe in people very easily. As well, he later on says, "Ain't gonna be no trouble. Nobody gonna hurt nobody nor steal from him." This is also another part that shows he's a very gullible yet innocent person. This is because no one is able to not get hurt. As well, no one is not able to steal from other people. There will always be people who are willing to steal from other people, and people will always get in trouble in the end, which all this ultimately leads to the downfall of Lenny in the end, which shows that with too much innocence, one cannot live long in a cruel world. Moving on to contrast, we can see that Lenny is a very innocent and a very person who does not think very much at their own action through this passage, because George, whenever he tells Lenny to do something, there is a purpose behind it. For example, when he told him to look across the river, it is because he doesn't want Lenny to feel the pain. Whereas Lenny doesn't think things through. For example, when Lenny says, let's get a farm right now, he didn't think through how farm requires a lot of effort, a lot of money, and a lot of human resources. He during this passage shows that he has not thought this through before asking George in such a rush. As well, George in this passage is shown to be more intelligent than Lenny. For example, the way he is able to elaborate himself with the words he uses and the level of difficulty compared to Lenny. For example, when Lenny said, "I thought you was mad at me, George." This is a sentence for at a low level, whereas George, he uses a higher level English. For example, "No, Lenny, I ain't mad. I never been mad, and I ain't now." That's a thing I want you to know. This sentence shows that he has a more deeper understanding and a deeper intellect than Lenny. So seeing through the contrast, one can see that that Lenny is relatively more innocent than George, which at the end leads to his death. So showing that innocence cannot last long in a cruel world. So in my creative piece, I decided to put a background of nature to symbolize innocence, and also I decided to put a city background to symbolize guilty, or more so people who are less innocent. So in the nature background, I put a dog on top of it, not only to symbolize Lenny, but to also symbolize his innocence, as well as his incapability to support or to protect himself. As he blends in perfectly with the nature background, it can clearly show that he is a very innocent person. Whereas George, although he stands out of his background, showing that he does not truly belong in the city or the less innocent group, he stays there because when you first read this passage, you might think that George is a person who is less innocent and more so does harm to others. However, as I said before, he does stand out from the background, showing that he does not truly belong in the less innocent section. As well, he is shooting out dolphins to symbolize protection, as he is protecting Lenny, which is the puppy in this creative piece, as Lenny has done something that he cannot come back from. As well, you can see that the city background is a little on top of the nature background, and it isn't exactly in the middle of the line. This is to show that the people who are less innocent and more cunning, they are eventually going to win over the innocents, so showing that if one has too much innocence, they cannot survive in this harsh world. At the bottom, I put a man and a woman there to symbolize Crook's wife, going out of my passage, to symbolize Crook's wife, who is very innocent. However, she does want someone to talk with her and communicate with her, but she is unable to find that person. On top, I put two people holding hands. This is to symbolize George and Lenny's friendship, as George has always protected Lenny since young, and even this time when Lenny has done something that no one could forgive, he still has to protect him, therefore shooting him in the head, because if he hadn't shoot Lenny in the head, going out in my passage once again, Lenny would be facing worse fate than if he hadn't died. As well, going back to the puppy, this is going outside of my passage. However, the puppy is to also symbolize Lenny's puppy, whom he killed. This puppy was very important in this book because it symbolized that the strong will always have victory over the weak. Because in the book, Lenny was evidently more stronger than the puppy, which therefore led the puppy to be killed. Although Lenny did not purposely do this, it was unintentional. He could not control himself, as he was stronger than the puppy, and the puppy was not able to protect himself.